So welcome to the biggest intercession course in the history of Johns Hopkins. I don't actually know if that's true. I just made it up, but it sounded really good. I'm going to be teaching you guys a lot about bluffing, and that was my first attempt. But it's possible that it's true. So I had this crazy idea. I am a pretty fanatical about my poker. It's my biggest hobby. And I said, I should teach a course in intercession about poker. And I thought maybe I'll get like 20 people will show up. And so they asked me for a cap, and I said 100 students. Let's just put the cap way up here. And then the day registration opened, we had 50 people on the wait list and 100 in the class. So I knew we had to make an adjustment. And I'm super excited that we have 230 registered students for this class. It's not at all what I expected, but I think that we can handle it. So let me just tell you a little bit about how this came to be and introduce myself. I'm Avi Rubin, obviously, and I'm a professor in the computer science department. And I've been here at Hopkins on the faculty for 18 years. Before that, I spent 9 years in industry research labs at AT&T and Belcor. And about 15 years ago, I became really interested in poker, and not just playing poker, but studying the game, understanding it, and then playing competitively. And I got into it because my brother was teasing me about how bad a poker player I was, and he suggested that I read this book on poker. And I'm like, why would you read a book on poker? Poker's just something fun you play with your friends. And he said, no, read this book. And I read it, and I said, wow, there's a lot of science here. And now I've since read over 20 books. I've studied them. And for like the last 10 years, my family's been getting really sick and tired of me talking about how I should teach an intercession course on poker. And so now I have a daughter who's a junior here at Hopkins. And I knew it's almost my last chance for me to teach an intercession course that she could take, because she's a writing seminars major and I'm computer science, and she wouldn't really take any of my other classes that I would offer. And so I finally, with her being able to take the class, I said, okay, I'm going to get off my butt and do it. And I've spent the last several months preparing for this course and making up lecture slides, etc. Now, my daughter was a little concerned that at some point in the semester or in the intersession, I would do something that would really embarrass her, which is, I think, a legitimate concern if you're a kid and your father's teaching there. So I thought, let's just get that out of the way right now. Let me do that, and then she doesn't have to worry anymore. So starting out, that's Ilana. You might recognize her. She's in the room right now. And the story I'm going to tell that's going to embarrass Ilana is that imagine that you're a dad with 3 young kids and you're really into poker. What is it that you teach your kids? Poker, right? So I taught my kids poker at a very young age, and we used to have these intense poker games with like my 5-year-old twins and 8-year-old Ilana sitting around the table with sunglasses and hoodies, and we're like playing poker. And Ilana had a particular move which she denies, but which I swear she used to do. She'd have her sunglasses up here like this, and whenever she'd get a really good hand, they came down. Get real quiet and serious. So I'm like, okay, Ilana's got a good hand now. So one time I knew she had a strong hand, and I put out a bet, and she folded. I'm like, that's interesting. I really wonder, because maybe my tell is a little off, and she wasn't strong. I said, what'd you have? And I looked at her cards, and she had folded a full house. I'm like, what were you doing? And she said, I was bluffing. Okay, bluffing is deception. I'll give you that. But the bluff fold is not a move that we're going to teach in this class. Okay, so I want to get to know you guys a little bit before we get started. And so I want to see, just by show of hands, how many of you have never played poker before? Okay, a few people. And I should tell you that I geared this course towards you guys, because the people that have played, there'll be some things that you know, but I want everyone, even if you've never played before, to be able to take this class. How many of you have played poker before? This should be everybody else. I can't think of a third category. Okay, how many play regularly? And by that I mean like at least once a month you try to play poker. All right. How many of you have played in a casino? I know most of you probably aren't old enough, but maybe internationally. Okay. How many of you understand the concept of pot odds? High up so I can see. Okay. How about know what it means for your hand to be counterfeited? Like 4 people, including my 2 course assistants. Can figure out side pots. Okay, a little more. Have won more than $3,000 in a poker tournament. Okay, well, the next question will then be answered. And finally, I was looking for a replacement for myself for this course, but if no one raises their hand, then I'll assume no one has won $1 million in poker here. So let me tell you about my goals for the course. One is to have a basic understanding of the theory of poker. Poker is actually very complex, very involved, and I do believe, and maybe someday, I could teach a full semester course in applied math and statistics on poker, and there will be plenty of stuff left to cover. But I want to give you a basic understanding, and also to know how to apply the theory. It's one thing to understand a theory, but in order to apply it, you actually have to experience it. But poker obviously is fun. If you're just sitting around solving formulas, you're not going to enjoy yourselves, and I want to make sure you enjoy poker. And the way that I enjoy poker is by winning, right? So I want to teach you how to win. I'm going to give you an appreciation for the history of poker. So from time to time, when I'm teaching a concept, I'm going to stop and I'm going to talk about some famous pro who's known for that concept and maybe show you like a 2 or 3 minute video clip of that person that's relevant. Finally, we're going to have hands-on experience playing poker. Actually, we decided not to use PokerStars. I'll show you the site we'll be using in a minute. But part of this course is going to be playing poker with your classmates. And I hope we all have a great intersession. I think it's going to be. I chose this picture here of John Gorsuch because just to give you an idea of how fun poker can be. John is a friend of mine. He's in my poker group and we talk all the time. And he, this summer at the World Series of Poker, he won a bracelet. So the World Series of Poker is a series of tournaments that takes place every summer for about 5 to 6 weeks. Each of the tournaments lasts 3 to 5 days. And then there's the main event, which is the one that's on ESPN, and it lasts 8 days, and you win like $10 million. Each of those tournaments is called a bracelet event because the winner will get a bracelet in addition to some money. So last summer, there was an event called the Millionaire Maker. And the Millionaire Maker is just like it sounded, guaranteed $1 million to first place. And they got so many people that bought into it that first place was $1.34 million, and John won it. He got first place in it. He also, about 2 days before it ended, was very, very, very low in chips. He was kind of what we call on fumes. He wasn't doing very well. And then he made a comeback and he won the tournament. And he quit his job and now he goes around on the circuit and plays professionally. And the last update I got from him, he just cashed at a tournament in Montreal. So he's a great poker player, and we're going to talk about some of the famous people in this class. So I also wanted to give credit and show you some of the books that I used in preparing this course. So a lot of the course is going to be walking through hand examples. Some of the hand examples that we're going to go through are hands that I played, but most of them are hands that I found in books that I find very pedagogical and very interesting to look at the hand, what happened in the hand. And the primary book that I used is this one in the top left here. Whoops, let's see. Cash Games by Harrington. It's a 3-volume set, and that is the book that I got from my brother that started me on poker and kind of learning how to play the game. My second favorite book here is the middle one in the top row. It's a lot more advanced, but it's got some really good concepts, and I think it's a must-read for someone that wants to get serious. Now let me talk to you for a minute about getting serious. I'm hoping that most of you, I'm guessing over 90%, this is a fun exposure class. You don't know that much about poker. It's kind of gets a lot of attention on TV and a lot of people play it and you want to see how cool it is and learn a bunch about it. And that's great. That's what I'm hoping you'll get out of it. But there'll be a few of you that get the bug that I have, and you're going to become serious about poker. And the first thing I want to tell you is that if you ever win the main event, just remember your professor who taught you about this. The second thing is if you find yourself broke, homeless, and stealing money to buy into your next tournament, don't blame me. I'm not trying to get you guys hooked on something that's addictive. It's just, I find it to be a really fun thing to do. So let me give you the outline of the course. First thing we're going to do, and we'll cover all of this today, is how to play the game. What are the mechanics? How does poker work? Mostly Texas Hold'em. And I'm going to focus on cash games. As you're going to learn in a minute, poker, and in particular Texas Hold'em, has two kinds of games you can play: cash games and tournaments. And we will be playing tournaments, and we will be learning a bunch about tournaments, but the primary focus of the theory is going to be on cash games. And the reason is that cash games are much more interesting, and they require a lot more skill. And I will even give you a short, easy-to-understand mathematical proof later on in the course that cash games require more skill than tournaments. And that's not tongue-in-cheek. I really will show you that. Then we'll cover the fundamentals. And the fundamentals, I think, will take about 2.5 days. So I'll start it today, and the next 2 lectures we're going to be learning fundamentals. After that, we're going to learn very Hold'em-specific things. Each one of these, I think, is about a day, maybe a little less than a day lecture. So how to play pre-flop. Pre-flop is when you first get your cards and nothing has happened yet. How to play on the flop is another one. And then a whole section on how to play on the turn. And for each one of these, we're going to look at hands and decisions where the key decision happened at that point. So like when we're looking at turn, we're going to look at a hand where the key decision happened on the turn. If you don't know what the turn is, you will in a minute. I'm going to go through everything from a total beginner standpoint. We're going to look at the river play. So once I finished covering pre-flop, flop, turn, river, then I'm going to turn to some advanced concepts, different moves like the squeeze move, if those of you have heard of it, and a bunch of floating, all these other different moves that you can make in poker and how to defend against them as well. Finally, we're going to talk about tournaments, and we're going to play some tournaments, and I'll get into that in a second. Poker etiquette is a big deal. If any of you play golf, you know that if you bring someone out on the golf course that's never played before, they're going to walk in front of your ball on the green, and they're going to talk to you when you're teeing off, and they're going to mess up everything, and you're going to cringe because your other friends are going to be like, how did you bring this guy out on the golf course? Well, poker is even worse. There are all sorts of unwritten rules. So I created a whole lecture for you. I think it's about 45 minutes on poker etiquette and how to play properly. And many of you are going to get to play in a live tournament, and I'll talk about that in a minute, and I will expect you to follow this etiquette. Finally, if we have time, which I don't expect we will, but I've prepared some material, we're going to look at some variants of poker, like Omaha, high-low games, stud, and some different games.